Teo sat at his work desk on the observation deck of the large spaceship called the Stellar Harmony. His fingers moved across the glowing screen in front of him, checking numbers and making notes about the ship's systems. Outside the big window, stars shone like small lights in the dark space. The deck was very quiet. Only the soft humming sound of the ship's machines could be heard around him. Teo was a human engineer. He had been working on this ship for 3 years now, and he knew every part of it very well. He was one of the first humans to work with alien species on a research ship. Most of the other workers on the Stellar Harmony were not humans. They were Velians, who had large eyes and shiny skin that changed colors. They were very smart and very good at building things, but they were also very different from humans in many ways. The ship was designed to study space and to help different alien species work together. Scientists from many worlds came here to share their ideas and do research. Teo's job was to make sure all the machines and systems worked correctly. He was very good at his job because humans could understand machines in special ways that other species could not. Suddenly, Teo heard a small sound. It was like a tiny bell ringing. He looked down and saw the cleaning bot coming toward him. The cleaning bot was a small round machine about the size of a basketball. It had a smooth silver body with small lights on top that turned different colors. One thin metal arm came out from the front of the bot, and it had little brushes and tools at the end. The bot was made by the Velians, and it was very good at cleaning the ship. The cleaning bot stopped in front of Teo's desk. It made a soft chirping sound, like a small bird. Teo knew that this sound meant the bot was trying to talk to him. The ship had a special computer that could understand what the bot was saying and put it into words that Teo could understand. "Unit requires assistance," the ship's computer said in a calm voice. "Cleaning protocol blocked. Unable to complete cleaning cycle." Teo looked at the cleaning bot and smiled a little. He knew that the bot was very smart and could do many things, but sometimes it needed help from the people on the ship. "What is the problem?" he asked the bot. The cleaning bot made more chirping sounds. It turned itself around and moved closer to the desk. Then it extended its thin metal arm and pointed at the small space under Teo's desk. The gap between the desk and the floor was very small, maybe only as wide as Teo's hand. "Debris detected in restricted access area," the computer said. "Object prevents proper completion of cleaning routine. Mechanical retrieval impossible. Unit cannot compress to access area." Teo bent down and looked under the desk. He could see what the bot was talking about. There was a small piece of crystal stuck under the desk, pressed against the wall. It looked like it had come from the sensor tools he had been using the day before. The crystal was small, but it was in a place that was too tight for the cleaning bot to reach with its metal arm. Teo stood up again and thought about the problem. The cleaning bot was waiting patiently, making soft beeping sounds. In the 3 years that Teo had worked on this ship, he had learned that the Velian machines were very smart and could do many things that seemed impossible. But they also had limits. They could not always reach every small space, and they did not like it when they could not finish their work. "This is a small problem," Teo said to the bot. "I can help you. Give me a moment." He started to think about different ways to solve this problem. He could try to slide something thin under the desk to push the crystal out. He could try to tilt the desk and shake the crystal loose. He could try to reach under the desk himself, even though the space was very small. But none of these ideas seemed perfect. Teo walked around his desk and looked at it from different angles. It was a large and heavy desk, made of strong metal. The desk had 4 thick legs, and each leg was held in place with special locks that kept it from moving even when the ship moved very fast through space. The desk was connected to the floor very strongly. He sat down again and looked at the space under the desk one more time. The crystal was definitely too far back for him to reach with his hand. His arm was too big. Any tool he used would be too wide to fit in that small space. The cleaning bot was right that this was a hard problem to solve. But Teo did not feel upset or worried. He was a human, and humans were very good at solving difficult problems. In fact, humans had come a very long way in space and had learned to work with many different kinds of aliens. Part of what made humans special was that they could think of new ways to do things when normal ways did not work. Teo looked at the cleaning bot again. The bot was still waiting. The light on top of the bot was blinking orange, which meant it was troubled and could not finish its work. The bot did not like leaving any part of the ship unclean. It wanted to complete its job perfectly. "Do not worry," Teo said to the bot in a kind voice. "I will find a way to get that crystal out. You will be able to finish your cleaning. Just wait here." He stood up and went to get some tools from the storage area near his desk. He was thinking hard about the problem. He knew that there had to be a solution. The question was what that solution would be. As he gathered different tools and brought them back to his desk, other workers on the deck were starting to notice what was happening. A few of them looked over to see what the problem was. Teo laid out the tools on his desk. There were thin metal rods, special hooks, and small brushes. He picked up each tool and tried to imagine if it would work. But as he looked at the small space under the desk again, he began to realize that none of these normal tools were going to help him reach that crystal. The space was simply too small, and the crystal was simply too far back. He sat on the floor and looked at the problem from this new angle. The cleaning bot came over and stood next to him, making soft sounds. Outside the ship's window, the stars continued to shine. The ship hummed quietly as it moved through space. Inside the stellar harmony, on the observation deck, a human and a robot faced a simple problem that was about to become much more interesting than anyone could have imagined. Teo was still sitting on the floor, looking at the problem under his desk, when he heard footsteps coming toward him. He looked up and saw his co-worker, Hei-In, walking across the observation deck. Hei-In was also a human, and she worked as a technician on the ship. She was very good at fixing machines and solving problems, just like Teo. When she saw Teo sitting on the floor with tools around him, she smiled and walked over to see what was happening. "What are you doing down there?" Hei-In asked. She could see the cleaning bot standing nearby, and she could see the small space under the desk. "The cleaning bot cannot reach something under my desk," Teo explained. "There is a small crystal stuck in a tight place. The bot cannot fit its arm in there." Hei-In knelt down beside him and looked at the problem. She was quiet for a moment, thinking about it. Then she said, "Why don't you just slide something thin under there, like a long rod or something flat? You could push the crystal out from the other side." Teo had already thought of this idea, but he explained why it would not work. "The console itself is in the way," he said, pointing to show her. "The crystal is pressed against the wall support on the far side. If I try to slide something under the desk, it will hit the console before it reaches the crystal. I cannot get anything past the console to push it out." Hei-In looked again more carefully. She understood now why the simple solution would not work. The crystal was in a spot where it was blocked by the structure of the desk itself. This made the problem harder than it first seemed. Other workers on the observation deck had noticed that something was happening. One of them was Dr. Jiwoo, who was a Velian scientist. She was one of the most important scientists on the ship, and she was very smart. Her skin was a pale blue color, and it shimmered a little when the light hit it. Velians had 3 large eyes instead of 2, like humans did. Dr. Jiwoo walked over to see what the problem was. "What is happening here?" Dr. Jiwoo asked in a polite voice. The Velians always spoke very politely and formally. Teo stood up and explained the problem to her. He showed her the small space under the desk and where the crystal was stuck. Dr. Jiwoo bent down to look, even though she had to bend her tall body quite a lot because the space was so small. "This is interesting," Dr. Jiwoo said after looking at it for a moment. "The cleaning bot's programming is very complete. It can sense that something is wrong, but it cannot fix the problem by itself. This shows the limits of automation." Hay-In made another suggestion. "What if we took the console apart?" she asked. "Could we remove a piece of it to let the crystal come out?" Teo shook his head. "No. The console is connected to many different systems. If I take it apart, I might break something important. And the ship might need this console working. I cannot risk that." Dr. Jiwoo was still looking at the desk very carefully. She seemed very interested in how humans were trying to solve this problem. The Velians were very curious creatures. They wanted to understand how other species thought and worked. "You could try to lift the desk," Hay-In said, but she said it in a joking way, like she did not really mean it. "Then you could reach under it." Teo laughed a little, but then he stopped. He was starting to think about this idea more seriously. What if you could lift the desk? If the desk was lifted up high enough, then he could reach under it easily and get the crystal out. But the desk was very heavy. It was made of strong metal, and it was designed to stay in place during the ship's movements. There was no way a person could lift something that heavy. Or could they? Dr. Jiwoo's skin began to change colors a little bit. When Velians became interested in something, their skin would change colors. It was like a way of showing their feelings. "How much does this console weigh?" Dr. Jiwoo asked. Hay-In was holding a small computer device, and she used it to find the information. "According to the specifications, it is about 400 kilograms in standard gravity," she said. "Why?" 400 kilograms was very heavy. That was like the weight of 4 grown-up humans all together. There was no way anyone could lift something that heavy with just their hands. Dr. Jiwoo seemed to be thinking about something, but she did not say what it was. The cleaning bot was still waiting. It had moved back a few steps, and it was standing very still. The small light on its top was still blinking orange. The bot was patient, but Teo knew that it wanted to complete its job. It did not like having unfinished work. More people on the observation deck had started to notice what was happening. A Krillian officer, whose name was hard for humans to say, walked over to see what everyone was looking at. The Krillians were a strong species, and they had hard skin that looked like armor. Even though they were strong, they still could not lift 400 kilograms with just one hand. "The problem is simple," the Krillian said in a deep voice. "You need a machine to lift it, or you need to remove the crystal from a different direction." Teo thought about what the Krillian had said. Both of those ideas seemed like they would work, but they would take a lot of time. He did not want to spend hours solving a small problem. There had to be a simpler answer. He looked at the desk again. He looked at the small space under it. He looked at the crystal, which he could barely see in the darkness under there. And then he had an idea. It was a simple idea, but it was an idea that only a human might think of. Teo started to move some of the tools away from the desk. He was making space. Hay-In watched him and seemed to understand what he was thinking. "You are not going to try to lift it, are you?" she asked. Teo did not answer right away. He was thinking about it very carefully. He was thinking about his body and what it could do. Humans had come from a planet called Earth, and Earth had very strong gravity. Because of this, humans had become very strong and very tough. They had muscles that were very dense and very powerful. Maybe, just maybe, if he positioned himself correctly and if he used the right technique, he might be able to lift the desk just high enough to reach under it. It seemed impossible, but Teo had learned that many things that seemed impossible were actually possible if you thought about them in the right way. "Let me try something," Teo said simply. He moved into position beside the desk and looked at it very carefully. Everyone around him had stopped working and was watching to see what he was going to do. The cleaning bot made a small sound, as if it was waiting to see what would happen next. Teo moved to the side of his desk and studied it very carefully. He was looking at how the desk was built. The desk had 4 thick legs made of strong metal. These legs went down to the floor, and special locks kept the desk from moving. The locks were designed to keep the desk in place, even when the ship was moving very fast or when it was turning sharply. Dr. Jiwoo and the others stood back to give Teo space. They were all very curious now about what he was going to try. No one said anything. The only sounds were the soft humming of the ship and the occasional beep from the cleaning bot. Teo knelt down and looked at the bottom of the desk. He could see where the desk met the floor. There was a metal frame that connected the desk to the floor. This frame was very strong, and the locks were attached to it. Teo knew that the locks were electronic, which meant they could be opened or turned off. But he was not going to do that. He was not going to use the locks at all. Instead, he was thinking about something different. He was thinking about leverage. Leverage was when you used a long stick or a bar to help you lift something heavy. If you had a long enough bar, you could lift something very heavy by pushing on one end of the bar and using a point underneath as a turning place. It was how ancient people on Earth had moved large stones and built big structures thousands of years ago. But Teo did not have a bar. He had something better. He had his own body. He had muscles that were very strong because humans came from Earth, where everything was heavier than it was on many other planets. He had bones that were very dense and very strong, and he had a mind that could figure out how to use these things in the right way. Teo reached under the desk and found the metal frame that formed the base. His fingers were large and strong. He gripped the frame tightly, finding the best place to hold it. He could feel the cold metal in his hands. He took a deep breath and got ready. "What are you doing?" Hei-in asked quietly. She seemed to think she knew what he was trying, but she could not believe that he was really going to try it. Teo did not answer. He was concentrating very hard. He thought about his legs and his back and his arms. He thought about how all of these parts of his body needed to work together. He made sure his feet were in the right position. He made sure his grip was strong and secure. He took another deep breath. Then Teo pulled. At first, nothing happened. The desk did not move at all. It seemed like the desk was never going to move. But Teo was expecting this. He was not giving up. He used more strength. He pulled harder. He used every bit of power that his human muscles could make. The desk began to move. It was very slow at first. Teo could hear a small creaking sound. The metal of the desk made a noise as it started to move. The locks at the bottom were holding the desk down, but the desk was still trying to move upward. Teo pulled harder. His face turned red because he was using so much energy. The muscles in his arms and his back and his legs were all working as hard as they could. The desk lifted up off the ground. It was only a small amount. Maybe the desk was only 10 or 15 centimeters higher than before, but it was enough. It was enough to see under it. It was enough to reach the crystal. Everyone on the observation deck became very quiet. They were all watching this one human lift a 400-kilogram desk with just one arm. For them, this was something that should not be possible. It should not be able to happen. But it was happening right in front of them. Hei-in quickly moved forward. She had a special tool for grabbing small objects. She reached under the desk and grabbed the crystal easily. It came free right away. As soon as she had it, Teo slowly lowered the desk back down to the floor. It settled into place with a soft sound. Teo was breathing very hard. His body was shaking a little bit because he had used so much strength. He stood up carefully, and his legs felt weak for a moment. But he was okay. He had not hurt himself. The cleaning bot made a happy sound. The light on top of the bot changed from orange to green. Green meant that the bot was happy and ready to continue its work. Hei-in gave the crystal to the bot, and the bot took it with its metal arm. "Cleaning cycle now complete," the ship's computer said. "Thank you for your assistance." But no one was paying attention to the bot's message. Everyone was looking at Teo. Dr. Jiwoo's skin was changing colors very fast. The colors were moving across her body in waves. This was a sign that she was very excited and very surprised about something. "How did you do that?" Dr. Jiwoo asked. She was staring at Teo like she had never seen him before. A human cannot have that much strength. It is not possible. Teo was still breathing hard. He wiped some water from his forehead with his hand. I used leverage, he said. I found the right angle and the right position. And humans are stronger than most people think. The Krillian officer came closer and looked at the desk. He tried to understand how Teo had done it. This should not be possible, the Krillian said in his deep voice. The weight is too much. Your body is too small. Hei-In was smiling. She had known that Teo was strong, but she had not known he was this strong. Humans evolved on a heavy planet, she said. We have a lot of muscle for our size, and Teo has always been stronger than most humans. He trained his whole life to be strong. A Tauri diplomat, who had been standing nearby, came closer to the group. The Tauri were a species that was also very strong and very advanced. But even the Tauri seemed surprised by what they had just seen. This is impressive, the Tauri diplomat said. We did not understand human physical capabilities at this level. Dr. Jiwoo was making notes on a small device she was holding. She was writing down everything about what had just happened. This is very important information, she said. This changes what we understand about your species. We need to study this more carefully. Teo sat down in his chair. He was very tired now. He had used a lot of energy to lift the desk, but he was also happy that the problem was solved. The cleaning bot had gotten the crystal out, and the bot could now finish its work. The observation deck was becoming busy again. People were talking about what they had just seen. Some of them were talking quietly. Some of them were talking loudly and using excited voices. The news was spreading around the ship. Everyone wanted to know about this human who could lift heavy things. Teo looked at the cleaning bot. The bot was moving around the desk now, finishing its cleaning work. The bot did not know that it had just caused something very important to happen. The bot just wanted to do its job and clean the observation deck. It did not know that this one small problem had just changed how everyone on the ship thought about humans. The news about Teo lifting the desk spread quickly through the stellar harmony. By the next morning, almost everyone on the ship had heard the story. Some people had seen it happen with their own eyes. Others had heard about it from friends. Some had even watched recordings that people had made with their communication devices. Teo woke up in his small room on the ship and knew that his life had changed. He did not feel very different from the day before. His muscles were a little bit sore from lifting the heavy desk, but otherwise, he felt the same. But he knew that other people would not see him the same way anymore. When he went to the dining hall for breakfast, everyone looked at him. Some people smiled. Some people looked surprised. Some people looked like they were thinking very hard about something. Teo wanted to eat his breakfast and go to his work, but it was not easy because people kept coming up to him and asking questions. A Velian scientist named Dr. Key asked him, "How much weight can you lift? Is there a limit to human strength?" A Tauri officer named Commander Val asked him, "Were you trained in strength exercises? Do all humans have this much power?" Minsu, another human who worked on the ship, came and sat with Teo. Minsu was laughing about the whole situation. "They are treating you like you are some kind of special machine," Minsu said. "They think you are a walking crane." But the most important thing happened when Captain Yunji called Teo to her office. Captain Yunji was the human captain of the Stellar Harmony. She was very smart and very good at her job. She had been the first human to be given such an important position on an alien research ship. Teo went to the captain's office and found Dr. Jiwoo waiting there too. The captain was sitting at her desk, and she had a serious expression on her face. Dr. Jiwoo's skin was the color of deep purple, which meant she was thinking about something very important. "Teo, sit down," Captain Yunji said. "We need to talk about what happened with the desk." Teo sat down and waited. He was not sure if he had done something wrong. Maybe lifting the desk had broken something. Maybe it was against the rules. He did not know. "First, I want you to know that you did not do anything wrong, the captain said, reading his face. In fact, you did something very right. But Dr. Jiwoo has some important information to share with you. Dr. Jiwoo moved closer and started to speak. We have been studying the recordings and measurements from yesterday, she said. We measured the desk again and we have confirmed the weight. It is approximately 430 kilograms. This is a significant weight for any individual to lift. I do not understand, Teo said. Is there a problem? No, there is no problem, Dr. Jiwoo said. But there is something that is not understood. In all of our studies of human biology, we did not know that humans had this level of strength. Our earlier reports said that humans had average strength that was similar to Velians. But what you did yesterday was not average strength. This was something much more. Captain Yoon-ji leaned forward. We want to understand more about human physical abilities, she said. We want to know if other humans can do what you did. We want to know how this is possible. And honestly, we think this information could be very important for the ship and for the collective. Dr. Jiwoo pulled out a data device. We have been looking at human history, she said. Before your people came into space, humans were doing very heavy work on your planet. They were moving large stones. They were building structures. They were working in conditions that would be impossible for most other species. All of this work shaped your body in ways that we did not fully understand when you first arrived. Teo was listening carefully. He had never thought about this before. He had never thought about how the history of humans on Earth had made them into what they were. The research shows that humans have unusual muscle density, Dr. Jiwoo continued. Your bones are also more dense than ours. Your bodies are built for strength and endurance. In a way, humans are like the perfect workers for heavy physical labor. Not because you chose to be this way, but because your planet chose it for you. Captain Yoon-ji stood up and walked to the window. She looked out at the stars. Teo, I am assigning you to a new program, she said. We are going to study human physical abilities more carefully. And we are going to find ways to use these abilities on the ship. There may be tasks that no other species can do well, but humans might be able to do them easily. What kind of tasks? Teo asked. Heavy cargo work, Dr. Jiwoo said. Structural repairs that require manual strength. Work in spaces that are too dangerous or too tight for machines. Work in areas where gravity is higher than normal. There are many possibilities. Min-soo came to find Teo after his meeting with the captain. He was very excited. Did they tell you? Min-soo asked. Did they tell you that they want to create a whole new human division on the ship? A strength division? The captain mentioned a new program, Teo said. But she did not give me all the details. It is true, Min-soo said happily. They are going to create jobs specifically for humans who are strong. They are going to use our strength for things that other species cannot do. And they are going to pay us more money for this work. Over the next few days, more humans who worked on the ship were tested to see how strong they were. Some were very strong, like Teo. Some were not as strong, but still stronger than most alien species. The testing was done by Dr. Jiwoo and her team of scientists. They measured everything. They tested lifting strength. They tested pushing strength. They tested how long humans could work without getting tired. The results surprised everyone. Humans were indeed much stronger than anyone had realized. Human strength was not like the strength of Krillians, who were strong in a slow, heavy way. Human strength was special. It was fast and efficient, and could be used with great control. Dr. Jiwoo made a presentation to the ship's council. All of the important leaders from different species came to listen. She showed them the data and the recordings. She explained how human strength could be used on the ship. Humans are not just smart creatures who can think like we do, Dr. Jiwoo told the council. Humans are also strong creatures who can do physical work that no other species can do. This is a unique advantage that the collective has. We should use this advantage wisely. The Council voted to create a new division on the ship called the Human Physical Operations Division. This division would handle all the heavy work that needed to be done. Teo was made the leader of this new division. Minsu and other strong humans were chosen to be part of the team. Tayo went back to the observation deck where the cleaning bot was still working. The bot made a friendly beeping sound when it saw him. The crystal that had been stuck under the desk was long gone. But the memory of that moment remained. That moment when a simple problem had changed everything. That moment when a human had lifted a heavy desk to help a machine do its job. That moment had created something new, something important, something that would change how humans and aliens worked together on the stellar harmony. 3 weeks had passed since Teo lifted the desk. In those 3 weeks, his life had changed in many ways. He was no longer just another engineer on the ship. He was now the leader of the Human Physical Operations Division, and he had important work to do. The new division had been given many tasks. The first task was to reorganize the cargo hold on the lower levels of the ship. The cargo hold was a large space filled with equipment and supplies. Some of the equipment was very heavy, and it had been stored in ways that were not very organized. Machines had tried to organize it, but machines could not do all the work because the cargo hold had odd spaces and strange angles that were hard for machines to navigate. Teo stood in the cargo hold with his team of 4 other strong humans. Their names were Ji-ho, Sung-min, and 2 others named Do-won and Hyun-ki. They all wore special working clothes that would protect them from small injuries. They had been given training on how to lift heavy objects safely, which was important so that they would not hurt their bodies. "This section needs to be cleared," Teo told his team, pointing to one side of the cargo hold. "We need to move everything to the other side of the room, and then we need to organize it in a way that makes sense." The team got to work. They picked up boxes that weighed hundreds of kilograms. They moved equipment that would have required machines to move. They worked together, passing heavy objects from one person to another. The work was hard, but it was the kind of work that humans could do well. Dr. Jiwoo came down to watch them work. She stood in the doorway of the cargo hold and observed everything they did. She was making notes about their methods and their efficiency. She wanted to understand exactly how humans could do this kind of work better than machines could. "You are not using any mechanical advantage," Dr. Jiwoo said to Teo as he was moving a large crate. "You are not using levers or pulleys. You are simply moving the objects by using your strength." "That is right," Teo said, setting the crate down carefully. "Sometimes the simplest way is the best way. Machines are useful for many things, but sometimes a human body can do the work faster and better. Machines take time to set up. Machines have limits about where they can go, but humans are flexible. We can work in many different spaces and do many different kinds of work." Dr. Jiwoo's skin changed to a light green color, which meant she was learning something new and was very interested. "This is why humans were so successful on your planet," she said. "You had to adapt to many different situations. You had to be flexible and creative. This is still in your nature." While the cargo hold was being organized, other things were happening on the ship too. Captain Yoon-ji had made an official announcement to all the alien species that were part of the collective. She explained that humans had abilities that were different from other species, and that these abilities could be very useful. She said that humans should be given more roles that used these abilities. Not all of the alien species were happy about this announcement. Some of them thought that humans were already taking too many important jobs on the ship. Some of them worried that humans would become too powerful. But most of them understood that having humans do the physical work would help the whole ship work better. A Tauri officer named Commander Val came to watch Tayo and his team work in the cargo hold. The Tauri were known for being very strong, and Commander Val wanted to see if what people were saying about human strength was really true. Teo was moving a very large piece of equipment called a gravitational compensator. It was a machine that helped ships stay balanced when they moved through space. The compensator weighed about 500 kilograms, which was even heavier than the desk that Teo had lifted. Commander Val watched as Teo found the right place to grip the machine. He watched as Teo positioned his feet and his back in the right way, and then he watched as Teo lifted the machine by himself and carried it across the cargo hold. It took all of Teo's strength, and his face turned red from the effort. But he did it. "This is remarkable," Commander Val said. His voice was filled with respect and surprise. "I have always known that humans were clever, but I did not know that humans were this strong. This changes my understanding of your species." By the time the cargo hold project was finished, it had taken 2 weeks of hard work. The whole space was now organized much better than before. Equipment was stored in neat rows. Heavy items were stacked carefully. The space was cleaner and more organized than it had ever been. Captain Yunji came down to see the finished work. She walked through the cargo hold and nodded her head with satisfaction. "This looks excellent," she said to Teo. "The previous team of machines took 4 weeks to do work that was not nearly as good as this. Your team did a better job in only 2 weeks." "We are happy to help," Teo said. The captain smiled. "I have a new assignment for your team," she said. "There are some structural supports in the lower sections of the ship that need to be checked. Some of them may need to be repaired or replaced. These supports are in spaces that are very small and very heavy. We think your team is the best choice for this work." Over the following weeks, Teo's team worked on many different projects. They repaired things that machines could not reach. They moved equipment that machines could not lift. They did work in spaces where it was too dangerous for machines to go. With each project, they became more skilled at working together. With each project, the alien crew members learned more about what humans could do. One day, while Teo was working in the engineering section, he met with Dr. Jiwoo again. She had completed her research on human physical abilities, and she wanted to share her findings with him. "Your species is remarkable," Dr. Jiwoo said. "We had classified humans as an intellectual species. We thought your value came from your minds, but we were wrong. Your value comes from both your minds and your bodies. Humans are complete creatures in ways that most species are not." Teo listened carefully to what Dr. Jiwoo was saying. It was an important moment. The aliens were finally understanding what humans really were. "On our planet, we had to do everything ourselves," Teo said. "We had to think about problems and we had to use our bodies to solve them. We could not separate the thinking from the doing. That is still part of who we are. We are practical creatures. We understand how things work because we have to use our hands to build them." Dr. Jiwoo made a sound that meant she was very satisfied with this answer. "This is exactly what I had concluded from my research," she said. "This is why humans are so valuable to the collective. You bring something that no other species brings. You bring the combination of clever thinking and strong doing." The conversation with Dr. Jiwoo made Teo think about what had started this whole thing. It had started with a small crystal stuck under a desk. A cleaning bot had not been able to reach it. A human had found a way to solve the problem. That simple moment had led to all of this. It had led to new jobs for humans. It had led to new understanding between species. It had led to a change in how everyone on the ship thought about what humans could do. Teo looked at his hands. These hands had lifted a desk. These hands had moved heavy equipment. These hands had solved problems that machines could not solve. These hands, and the human body they were part of, had changed things on the stellar harmony. And Teo knew that this was just the beginning. There would be more work to do. There would be more problems to solve. There would be more ways for humans to show what they could do.